Hey, guess what? It's time for Making Kayfabe with your hosts, Bryce and Dylan.
Hello there, you're listening to Making Kayfabe, the podcast where two writers fantasy book some of wrestling's biggest mistakes and most glaring missed opportunities. My name is Bryce, I'm joined by my co-host and good friend Dylan, and today you're listening to our third episode of Season 6, where we fantasy book the feud that nearly happened between the legendary Mick Foley and, at the time, a relatively unknown Dean Ambrose. And speaking of legendary and relatively unknown, Dylan is here. How are you doing, Dylan?
Hi, thank you for that introduction.
You are both of those things.
Legendary and
relatively unknown.
Relatively unknown. So people don't know how great I am.
No. But the people who do, it relatively means not completely. So it's like, the people who do know you know how legendary you are.
Yeah, all four.
Yeah, all four. Yeah.
Well, thank you, all four of you.
And they're all listening today, so hello four people.
Two of them are you and me.
Yeah. Don't tell them that. But so yeah, this is a story I got excited about during the break between season 5 and 6. So I always knew there was a feud planned between Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose, and like at the time, like not to sound like a total hipster or anything, but I legitimately was a fan of Dean Ambrose before he was cool, you know. Like I didn't, yeah, hipster. Yeah, like I didn't know him as Jon Moxley in CCW at that point, but it was a kind of weird part of my wrestling fandom where I actually watched Florida Championship Wrestling every week, FCW, and I loved Dean Ambrose. Like, it was during his feud with Regal, and like I thought his character just kind of like jumped off the screen. His promos were absolutely incredible. So like when I heard of him entering a feud with Mick Foley, I was very excited. And in between seasons, I read Jon Moxley's autobiography, and he actually has an entire chapter dedicated to this feud. And I'll get into that more in the catch-up. But Dylan, did you hear much about this feud at the time? Back in kind of 2012? Christ, 10 years ago. Oof.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. Make it stop. Yeah, time goes too fast.
Well, I had heard of this, and I believe you and me have talked about this before as well, which shows everybody just like how legit, like, you know, you have thought about this. We have talked about this. This is a real thing.
Goes way back.
Yep. And I was aware of this because I am a big Mick Foley fan.
You are?
Yes, Mick Foley's my favorite wrestler of all time. Even more so than Stevie Richards.
I was just about to say, like, what the hell?
I mean,
why is Dr. Stevie getting snubbed here?
He didn't get thrown up the Hell in a Cell, did he? There's still time.
He would. If you asked him to, he would, you know.
Well, we asked him to be on the show, and he's like, I can't do that.
He's always on the show. He's on the show 2 seasons ago.
Ish. And we had to pay him.
we had to pay him to do it, but yeah, he was on the show.
Yeah, but like, how much are we going to have to pay him to go through that cell, you know?
I mean, at least double.
I don't have that kind of cash.
At least £40, yeah.
I don't got that kind of scratch, you know. But I had heard about this because, you know, I love me some Mick Foley. And I think about the time this news came out, Dean Ambrose was more established. You know what I mean? Like, I think this kind of came out after the fact, right?
I mean, not particularly. Like this was pre-Shield. This was like, you know.
Well, the idea was, but hearing about the story, I think I certainly heard about it once he was kind of more established, and I was like, oh, that would have been cool.
Ah, right, I'm with you.
You know what I mean? Like I heard about the story after, but
right, gotcha.
I would have been like, you know, that would have been cool, but at the same time, you know, Mick Foley in 2012 is a very different Mick Foley from 1998. You know,
you're talking about former TNA heavyweight champion Mick Foley right now.
We are, yes, and that's. I think we can all agree that when we saw him in TNA, we're like, okay, he went a little too far. You know, maybe you should have retired 5 years ago.
That was just before this whole thing went down. So you know that was his. I was looking at his cage match history, and like, you know, right up to his third last match was TNA. So yeah, it's very, very close to the end of old hardcore legend. And
it's a shame because I think that feud would have been awesome. It would have been crazy, but at the same time, you know, Mick Foley has gone through an awful lot.
Yeah, he's gone through an awful lot of cells.
He fell off the cell, then he went through the cell in the same match because why not? You know,
Been through a few tables in his time.
he got set on fire in the King of the Death match, I think. Or
Lost his ear.
But yes, he lost his ear.
Lost some teeth.
He lost his teeth. He's had a real tough time. Like, that's why him and Ambrose would be super cool, because Ambrose, Jon Moxley, used to be a bit of a deathmatch wrestler. He still is now. And that they could have really played up a good story there. But I think the problem was just Mick Foley couldn't have gone.
Yeah.
He couldn't have performed the way that storyline would have kind of demanded, you know.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I'll go into that a bit in the catch up. But yeah, this is something we have been speaking of for a long time. In fact, I'm pretty sure now you mention it, like when we first thought of making kayfabe, like we each came up with like 10 episodes each that we could do, and then I'm pretty sure this was one of them for me.
I'm pretty sure you did mention this like way back.
This is right back at the start, back at the start, yeah. And just I don't know why it's taken 6 seasons to get around to it, but it was just like I said, like during the break between season 5 and 6, I was reading Mox, the autobiography, and just that kind of like kickstarted something in me saying I would love to book this, because like in that book, Mox like talks about the kind of ideas for the feud and what everything was kind of like vaguely planned to be like. So you know, what I've done here is like taken some of those and filled in the cracks and just like explored what could have happened in the story. So, and yeah, it just would have been an iconic feud, to be honest. Like, a great way to debut Ambrose in the main roster, but also interesting to wonder. But you know, this would have been Dean Ambrose without the Shield. So you know, it's an interesting concept to think about how he could have been different. You know.
Yeah. I think it would have been a really good way, like you said, a really good way to debut Ambrose and get him immediately noticed, you know. And of course, anything with Mick Foley in it, I'm happy enough, you know.
That's it, yeah. Anything with Foley is gold, usually.
Yeah, ish, unless you're watching TNA.
Yeah, unless he's matches with Flair and TNA, but you know what I mean. So, but right, before we get into the actual booking of this, you know, could have been legendary feud, how about we go into the brief history of it all?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose almost had a feud once, and it never happened. Alright, that's the history. Let's fantasy book Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose.
What a great episode. Right, another one in the books.
In all seriousness. So yeah, there is a bit of intriguing story to this. So mentioned earlier about reading Jon Moxley's autobiography. And first off, hell of a read. I don't know if you've read it yet, Dylan. You been through it?
Not yet, but I really want to.
Would recommend, definitely.
Yeah.
Like going out of your way to read it. It's very entertaining. It's not like a standard autobiography where it's like they start when they're a kid and it ends to the current day. Like Moxley just kind of like jumps around stories. Like he'll be talking about like CZW in this chapter, and then suddenly he'll be in like AEW. Then suddenly it's like he's doing the G1 and like all this stuff. So it's like quite interesting. He just kind of like writes it as it comes to him, I think, from memories. But yeah, anyway. There's a chapter on his, you know, could have happened feud with Mick Foley. So let me set the scene. So it's late March of 2012, and Mick Foley is at an event in Miami, Florida, promoting WrestleMania 28. And there's a video of this, which you can see on YouTube. But essentially, Mick Foley is casually chatting with some fans at the event. About 50 seconds into the video, he gets interrupted by Dean Ambrose from SCW, who gets in Mick's face. And by the way, this is obviously, like I said, pre-Shield, so Ambrose is not yet debuted with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but yeah, Ambrose in this video blames Foley for ruining a generation and being responsible for destroying the lives of many teenage kids, and he claims that a lot of his friends are dead because of their attempts to follow in Foley's footsteps. You know, Foley needs to be held accountable and he should be labelled as a criminal for everything he's done. Ambrose then gets pulled away as Foley demands to know what accountable means in his book. And already I feel like you've got a really seriously interesting story here. I mean, just briefly, Ambrose, as you mentioned earlier, Dylan, was a deathmatch wrestler in CCW under the name Jon Moxley. And deathmatch wrestling, and I hope I'm not going too far to say this, but I feel that it owes a lot to Foley and the battles he's had against the Terry Funks and the Anitas of the world. Foley popularised the notion of putting yourself through a lot of crazy shit in an effort to win matches during the Attitude Era, you know, as you mentioned, getting thrown off the cell, taking unprotected chair shots to the head, all that fun stuff. And Dean Ambrose's point here is that basically from all these teenage kids idolizing Mick Foley, there were a few who idolized him to the point of imitating him. So these kids were throwing themselves off roofs, they were wrapping themselves in barbed wire, falling on thumbtacks, etc., because they wanted to be cool like Mick Foley. Of course, Mick Foley never said anyone should follow in his footsteps like that, which is, what would have made this story great. Foley is the clearer babyface here, obviously, but there is some notion of truth to the argument that he poisoned a generation of kids who looked up to him by putting himself through insane amounts of pain. And Dean Ambrose is basically here to hold Mick Foley accountable for what he influenced these kids to do. So super interesting, super intriguing. And apparently, according to the book Mox, it literally worked some of the guys in the back too, so some of the actual wrestlers. Because the video itself, that's what I was going to say actually, the video itself, it's not filmed like a WWE like production kind of thing. It literally is somebody holding up their fucking flip phone from 2012 and filming it like a fan filming it. So like that's how it seemed like more legit, But Moxley writes in his book about how Mark Henry was speaking with people in catering, and here is what Mark Henry apparently said about the incident. So this is a quote from the book. "You hear about Foley last night, man? Some motherfucker came up to him in the lobby talking about how he ruined a generation and he needs to be held responsible or some damn thing. They got that motherfucker out of there. Lucky I wasn't there. I'd have slapped the shit, capital letters, out of that stupid motherfucker."
It's good to see that Mark Henry follows the WWE product.
Yeah. but that's at the time. That's it. So the thing that I don't think's been understood, that this was not on WWE TV. This was literally a YouTube video uploaded where Dean Ambrose confronted Mick Foley just totally randomly. So it was never on Raw, it was never on SmackDown, it was never on a pay-per-view. It was literally just a confrontation, like at a fan event. So
don't you wonder why people don't do that more? Like, I know why WWE don't do that more, because they want to make sure that, it looks professional and they get it on every TV and whatever. But like somewhere like AEW, if they did little bits like that where it looks like somebody's filming on their phone or something like this, and not in the arena, somewhere outside it, like it looks like it's kind of on the street or whatever, it could be all a work, obviously. But if you make it look like it's a shoot, like it looks more homegrown, and then people will be like, "Wow, is that real?" You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's such a simple little touch, but it really makes a difference.
You're totally right, and it should be done way more in wrestling, like because obviously, like, you need that kind of like almost that doubt in wrestling sometimes. Like, is this a work or is it? Because people still question that all the time. Like, there's a couple of things going on in the world of wrestling right now. The whole Sasha Banks Naomi thing. Like, people are still thinking, is that a work? Is that a work? And I don't think it is. But
I'm pretty sure it's not a work.
pretty sure it's not. And like, obviously, like the Kota Ibushi thing and stuff like that, which obviously isn't a work again. But there's still people thinking on Reddit, oh, maybe this is all a big kind of like planned thing. So, but like, wrestling fans tend to like cling on to that sense of doubt, I think, and just like they want that in their stories. They want some realism to it, Right. So I guess that's what this was. But the feud didn't really go much further beyond that video at the WrestleMania promotional event, at least as far as on screen goes. So Dean Ambrose was instructed to keep things heated on Twitter. So FCW, he's the Florida Championship Wrestling promotion that he worked for. They made him a Twitter account and basically instructed him to talk shit about Mick Foley on there. And Ambrose started posting videos of backyard wrestlers nearly killing themselves with the hashtag thanks Mick, which is very clever, I think. But there was an awkward moment which almost led to the breakdown of the feud, and this is sort of hard to describe, but I'll give it a go. So essentially, Ambrose and Foley were asked to work the boys. So, e.g., find more gullible people like Mark Henry and convince them that there was real heat between Ambrose and Foley. So, a worked shoot, basically, but only for the viewing of wrestlers and crew, if that makes sense. So, at a SmackDown taping, Mick Foley confronts Dean Ambrose in front of the entire locker room, and he chews him out about what Ambrose has been tweeting, specifically saying, "Do not talk about my family." And Ambrose was then sent to London, basically to show that he was like sent away for insubordination or something. But here's where shit gets really awkward. So it's an interesting story. So Dean Ambrose because he was abroad, he was completely out of communication. He had a shitty, cheap phone which didn't receive texts from the US, and when he was in London, he went to his hotel lobby, he found a computer, and he started tweeting shit about Mick's family, because that's what he thought he was supposed to do. Because, you know, in this work shoot for the boys kind of thing, Mick Foley said to him, "Do not talk about my family." So that's kind of like a blessing to talk about your family, right? That's kind of like
Right.
I want you to do this. But during that time, though, while Ambrose was abroad, Mick Foley was texting him saying that the angle was going great, but seriously, for real, please don't talk about my family. So, of course, Ambrose wasn't getting these texts, so the tweets about Mick Foley's family kept being sent. And when Ambrose returned to the US, his phone started lighting up with messages from Mick Foley asking him what his fucking problem was. Ambrose had no idea. He apologises profusely, telling Mick that he hadn't received a single text while tweeting the family shit. And Mick obviously didn't know Ambrose. He initially just thought he was a total fucking asshole, but he understood and he gave the feud the green light once again. But after all that, with the whole feud mapped out, in a total kick to the stones, Mick Foley didn't get medically cleared to work with Ambrose. And that was apparently due to history with concussions, which, fair enough. I hear he's had a fair few, so the doctor said no, and it wasn't safe for him to be back in the ring. So, but Mick actually tried to fight for the feud. He even suggested to the doctor that they'd plan the whole match around his leg. Just get Ambrose to work his leg. He'll take no bumps. But the doctor even turned that one down. So that was that. This feud, the feud which could have been so epic, was dead in the water, and that is a bloody shame. We did eventually get an on-screen interaction between Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose, albeit 4 years later in 2016. In preparation for Dean Ambrose's match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, Mick Foley appeared to give Ambrose a gift, which was a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire. Barbie. But yeah, that was it. That was the only interaction Foley and Ambrose had after all of this. But hey, what if Mick Foley was medically cleared? What if instead of starting the Shield, Dean Ambrose debuted as a man looking to hold Mick Foley accountable for ruining a generation? I guess we're just going to have to find out, as I fancy book the Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose feud for the spring of 2012. Alright, here we go. Now, in Moxley's book, he did drop a few hints about where this feud was going and what the plan was, so with that in mind, I'm going to do my best to incorporate the ideas that Foley and Ambrose had for the programme. I'll mention notes as I go through this. I believe there's a couple of angles here which were legitimately planned for the feud. So we start with the Ambrose and Foley confrontation, obviously. That's going to go down the exact same way. Ambrose is going to confront Foley at the WrestleMania Access event. It'll get shared around places like Twitter and Reddit, and Mark Henry will get worked something rotten. But post WrestleMania 28, we're going to shine a light on the event. So we'll play the clip on Raw with the commentators putting over how the legendary Mick Foley was confronted by an independent wrestler named Dean Ambrose. They'll compliment Foley on how he handled the confrontation with grace and decorum, and then they'll move on with the show. But next week, somewhere through Monday Night Raw, an unexpected segment is going to play. After our match wraps up, we're going to do a fade into a vignette with a black background, and none other than Dean Ambrose is going to walk onto screen. And Ambrose cuts a promo, and I'm well aware that I could never do the great Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley justice with writing his promos for him, but I'll do my damn best. So here's what he says. He says, "Hi, my name is Dean Ambrose. You don't know me, but you don't need to. I don't need you to know me. I couldn't care less. I'm nobody. But what I do need you to know, however, is the truth about false idol Mick Foley. You need to know about how this man ruined a generation, literally, and how he refuses to apologise for it. So I saved up my pennies and I bought this advertising slot on Raw. I've only got enough money to afford one play, so make sure you're watching real close. You might learn something." And then it cuts to some home-recorded footage, you know, the type, like, the ones that are recorded by, like, flip cams, and it's got the little kind of white date and time stamp in the bottom right-hand corner, and potato quality kind of stuff. But anyway, the basis of this video is, like, kids getting hurt, basically, attempting to copy their idol, Mick Foley. So Ambrose is going to narrate over this little mini documentary. You know, he's really going to lay it on thick. So he'll say something like, you know, "This is little Georgie, 13 years old. He jumped off a roof and broke his ankle after he saw Mick Foley jump off his roof. Little Georgie wanted to be just like his idol, but now he's missing soccer practice for 4 months. Thanks, Mick." And then, "This is Adam, age 15. He asked his friend to wrap him in barbed wire like his idol Mick Foley and tore an artery. He almost died, but Mick Foley doesn't care. All Mick cares about is sitting in his big, plush house with his cute little family. Thanks, Mick." "This is Toby, 14 years old. After watching King of the Ring 1998, he threw his little brother off the top of the garage. Toby didn't get to become a wrestler like Mick Foley because he's serving time in juvenile hall. Thanks, Mick."
Ooh.
So you get the gist of it, right? Like, you can get even more ridiculous with it if you want, but like Dean Ambrose's message is like exceptionally serious. In a word, he's basically trying to defame the great Mick Foley. He's trying to turn Foley's fans, the WWE audience, against the man who earned the title of Hardcore Legends. So the fans boo the segment, but maybe, just maybe, there's something in the back of their minds asking, could all this be true? So next week, Mick Foley's going to appear on Raw. It's an interview segment, so there's the 2012 WWE interviewer interviewing him, which I meant to research and didn't go back to. Who was around at this time? Was it fucking Todd Grisham?
Was it
2012? It seems like it would be in 2012, but I can't think of anyone else.
It's your bucket. You can just make that.
It's Todd Grisham.
They brought him back.
Todd Grisham.
Oh, yeah,
it was Todd Grisham.
He never left.
Put in the fantasy booking. So Todd Grisham is asking Mick Foley, obviously, what his thoughts are on Dean Ambrose's paid for ad last week. And Foley is going to sort of no-sell it. Like, he'll make a quick reference to what was said in that segment, but nothing more. It's water off a duck's back, he'll say. Ambrose isn't the first to say negative things about me, he certainly won't be the last. I'd consider suing him, just for the sheer hell of it, but I know he has no money, and he won't make any in this business with that kind of attitude. And Mick smiles and tells Todd that he isn't here tonight to address Dean Ambrose. No, he is here to make a special announcement. You see, this coming Sunday, will be Extreme Rules 2012, and there are 2 guys on that card who hate each other so much that you can't just put a normal man in the middle of it all. He's talking about Chris Jericho and CM Punk, who are due to fight for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania / Extreme Rules, aka Extreme Rules. So,
didn't they fight in all of them?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, maybe they did actually. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah,
they fought at WrestleMania.
They did. I was there. Yeah, I was at that one. That was the one I went
hello.
to.
Yeah.
Very good match.
Did you wave at CM Punk?
I waved, but I don't think he saw me.
Oh.
I was kind of in the nosebleed seats, so yeah.
Fair enough.
Shame, but yeah. So CM Punk and Chris Jericho is going to be taking place at Extreme Rules. So Foley announces that he has been appointed special guest referee for the match. Mick Foley will be refereeing the match between Chris Jericho and CM Punk at Extreme Rules. How nice. Hey Dylan, close your eyes.
Okay.
Now open them.
All right.
Surprise, we're in the future. It's Extreme Rules 2012.
Oh my god, I don't like it. Go back.
Okay, we're back to Raw.
I'm scared. Oh my god. I went to the future a moment ago. Oh, it was so scary.
What are you smoking?
You know what I'm smoking.
So you know how I said I'm going to incorporate some ideas that Foley and Ambrose legitimately had for this story. So this is one of them, according to Jon Moxley's book. So at Extreme Rules, we're going to see footage of Mick Foley driving into the arena. And as he parks his car, our good old placeholder interviewer Todd Grisham walks up to him with a microphone. And he asks Foley about tonight's match that he'll be refereeing, the CM Punk versus Chris Jericho match. And Mick Foley gives it the whole, good guy special ref, saying he's going to call it right down the middle. The best man's going to walk out of the WWE Championship tonight. Todd Grisham walks away, and we cut back to Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler at the announced it. Oh wait, Oh wait, we cut back to the parking lot and Mick Foley is being assaulted by a hooded figure. The figure isn't hooded for long as he lays in frantic clubs to the face and back of Foley. Poor Mick Foley doesn't have a chance to defend himself. He was clearly attacked unawares from behind, so he is completely at the mercy of his attacker, who is of course Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose bangs Foley's head off the car bonnet a few times. He then grabs him by the back of his head, drags him onto the bonnet, and crash! He drives Mick Foley's head through the front windscreen. Mick falls off the bonnet and onto the concrete floor of the parking lot, where crimson red blood contrasts horribly with the grey concrete. Ambrose gets down in the concrete and whispers to Mick, "Water off a duck's back, right?" He then walks away. Needless to say, Mick Foley doesn't referee the WWE Championship match that night. He is rushed to hospital for immediate treatment of the deep wounds in his head from the windscreen. Later that night, CM Punk and Chris Jericho fight in the semi-main event, with the commentary team making many references to the heinous actions of Dean Ambrose. So now you've got Dean Ambrose being name-dropped in a WWE Championship match. It's all about that exposure. So, by the way, as an aside, like I said, that part is meant to happen, not the special ref part. I used my creative freedom a bit on that, but Mox says in his autobiography that he was due to debut at Extreme Rules 2012 and smash Mick's head through a car windshield. So yeah, there you go. That was apparently supposed to happen. Anyway, one thing WWE wanted to happen was the whole working the boys thing I mentioned in the catch-up, so we're going to announce that Dean Ambrose has been suspended indefinitely by his employer's Florida Championship Wrestling for what he did to Mick Foley at Extreme Rules. He is also barred from all WWE events until further notice, so should Ambrose show face at another event, the police will be called and he will no doubt be locked up. So for the next few weeks, we're going to get very short segments, like 30 seconds to a minute long segments of Mick Foley recovering from the assault in hospital. You know, he barely speaks in the videos. It's actually his wife who has to speak for him from behind the camera. But every week that we see that there's a little bit of progress in his conditions. So this is all to keep things fresh in the mind of the viewer. You know, Dean Ambrose may be quote-unquote suspended, but he sure as hell will be fresh in the mind of the fans as they consistently bear witness to what he did to Foley. The announcers are going to drive that home too. Dean Ambrose is a villain and he's earned nothing but disdain from the WWE and its audience. Anyway, a month has now passed, and on Monday Night Raw, we have a special sit-down interview with Mick Foley, who is appearing via satellite. And Jim Ross himself will be conducting the interview with the man he's known for decades. When Foley appears on the screen, he looks banged up, but, you know, he's Mick Foley. He's got that big, lovely face, you know, the big warm smile. He shoots a thumbs up at the camera to show fans that he's okay, despite being the victim of a very serious assault from Dean Ambrose. Foley is, of course, asked about the incident and his thoughts on Dean Ambrose, and his thoughts would probably surprise a fair few people in the audience. So Mick Foley is very open about the incident and actually says that he forgives Dean Ambrose for doing what he did. I mean, sure, he took a loving father away from his family for an entire month. That part Mick sure doesn't agree with, but there was a strange charm in what Dean Ambrose did to him at Extreme Rules. And yeah, charm's a funny word to use in a situation like this, but Foley feels that it's relevant because in doing what he did, Dean Ambrose sort of reminds Foley of himself. And Foley understands what Ambrose is trying to do. He knows what he's trying to achieve. He's trying to coax the 47-year-old hardcore legend out of retirement. Well, that ain't gonna happen. Mick Foley is retired. He has no want for another match, but I'll tell you what, Mick Foley has sent a message to WWE management giving Dean Ambrose his blessing to be unsuspended for what he did to Mick. He'll also give Ambrose his blessing to be hired by the WWE and put on the main roster. Hey, Dean Ambrose could be the next Mick Foley, who knows? And he hopes his fans will enjoy watching Ambrose on Monday Night Raw and promises that he will see them soon. And Mick thanks JR for the interview, and it ends there. Later in the week, it's announced on WWE.com and social media that Dean Ambrose's suspension and ban from WWE events has been lifted. He's now under contract to WWE as talent. What an interesting development, right?
That's all you have to do to get a contract for the WWE is to beat the shit out of Mick Foley. We could do that.
And then get his blessing, though. You have to get his blessing at the same time.
What if we beat the shit out of him and he can't talk? I mean, we beat the shit out of him. We're really good at beating the shit out of him.
Oh, how many times have we done that, honestly?
And nobody was watching.
Nope, not one person.
Wouldn't it be, like, imagine if people were watching, then the ratings would go through the roof.
We really need to record this shit. Yeah. Exactly.
All
people know of us as podcasters, but we're thugs, man. We're hooligans. Yeah.
In retrospect, we really shouldn't have beaten the shit out of him so many times.
No, I mean, I do feel bad about it.
Yeah,
but,
two or three times was enough.
Yeah, and it didn't get us anything. It didn't get us a WWE contract. That's why we're sitting doing this podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, it was fun though.
It was a good time. And Mick enjoyed it as well, right? So, yeah.
I mean, it looked like he had a smile on his face. I don't know.
It was unconscious, but I mean, yeah, but if he's smiling, he's fine, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he'll be okay. Anyway, so Ambrose is going to get some mic time on next week's Monday Night Raw, so let's just say that all is good in the world and Ambrose gets as much time as he wants with no script where he gets to say whatever the hell he pleases. It would never happen in WWE, but hey, they don't call it fantasy booking for nothing. So, Dean Ambrose, he's furious. He's furious as he speaks into the microphone on Raw. He tells the fans how he is not happy to be here. He didn't come here to make money. He didn't come here to win titles. He didn't come here to hear the roar of the crowd. All he came to WWE for was to extract revenge on Mick Foley for all the wrong he has done to Ambrose's generation. And this whole Dean Ambrose may be the next Mick Foley bullshit, that had Ambrose bouncing off the walls when he heard it. Dean Ambrose may be like Mick Foley, but that is the furthest thing away you can possibly get from a compliment. It's an insult because the only way that Dean Ambrose is like Mick Foley is the way that Dean Ambrose sacrifices his body and does mindless things to win wrestling matches, and that's no positive, but it's how things are because Mick Foley warped the mind of people like Ambrose and his peers. Foley was a bad influence, and now Ambrose is suffering the effects. And another thing, Mick Foley thinks Dean Ambrose wants a match against him. Dean Ambrose couldn't give a crap about having a match. This whole thing here, this isn't about Ambrose pinning Foley to the mat for the 1-2-3. Ambrose asked Foley to listen, to truly listen and understand, because he isn't speaking in riddles. He tells Foley once again that he ruined a generation. Beating him in a match is not going to make that go away. No, Mick Foley needs to be held responsible. So Dean Ambrose is going to be that thorn in Mick's side until the very day that Ambrose decides that Foley has paid his dues. This ain't the last Mick Foley's heard of Dean Ambrose. Ambrose drops the mic and he leaves. And throughout the next week, Mick Foley takes to social media to share some screenshots from his phone. He's had a call from the same number more than every hour of every day consistently for the last week. The screenshot shows a blurred out number, but with evidence that it has called him 639 times since Monday Night Raw. And with those 639 calls are of course 639 voicemails where Dean Ambrose, surprise surprise, leaves words of venom and threat. And Foley plays a few of them for his social media accounts, showing just how much of a freaking lunatic the Ambrose character is. On Monday Night Raw next week, more voicemails are played on air, and these voicemails are even more crazy. These voicemails show Ambrose demanding that Mick meets him on Monday Night Raw. He wants Foley to show his face so Ambrose can break his nose. He wants Foley to show face so Ambrose can gouge out his eyes. He wants Foley to show face so that Ambrose can take the claw end of a hammer and tear out whatever teeth Foley has left in there. Ambrose isn't done with Foley by a long shot. And on the same episode, we get a statement from Mick Foley via the commentary team. Foley, in his statement, reminds everybody that he is retired. He will not be answering Dean Ambrose's call to action. He's happy at home and is only going to make appearances in WWE on very special occasions. And as much as he may think he is, Dean Ambrose is not a special occasion. Next week's Raw is broadcast live from Amarillo, Texas. And Dean Ambrose, it's clear at this stage that his goal is to get Foley out of hiding, basically. Of course, Foley isn't hiding, per se, he's just retired, but Dean Ambrose sees Foley's reluctance to show up as an insult. Now, Dean can't legally hold Foley responsible for the atrocities to his generation unless he's within the confines of a wrestling arena, of course. Anywhere else, it's just straight up assault, as you and I know, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
So Dean Ambrose's music hits on this episode of Monday Night Raw from Amarillo, Texas, and the fans prepare themselves for another scathing promo towards a hardcore legend, Mick Foley. They expected that, but they didn't expect this. They did not expect Dean Ambrose to appear at the top of the ramp, dragging a 68-year-old man named Terry Funk by the scruff of his shirt. Terry Funk, one of the most well-known names in the world of wrestling. Terry Funk, Mick Foley's mentor and best friend. Terry Funk, famously from Amarillo, Texas, where, as I mentioned, Raw is taking place tonight. So the crowd react in horror as Funk is dragged down to the ring, and it's clear that he's already been through hell. His clothes are torn, skin is bruised, and he's got a very kind of glazed over look in his eyes. Ambrose throws the legend into the ring and grabs a microphone. He receives venomous boos from the crowd, and no wonder. Ambrose says, "I guess my calls and voicemails didn't get your attention, Mick, so let me try something else." He rolls outside the ring, he fetches a steel chair. He sets it up in the middle of the ring in seated position, grabs Terry Funk, and delivers his DDT finish, the Dirty Deeds, onto the chair. Terry Funk slowly peels off the chair and crumples onto the canvas below. "Do I have your attention now, Mick?" Ambrose asks. "Listen to me, I will keep doing this. If you're too much of a coward to come out and face me yourself, then I will continue to hurt the ones you love. You think I'm done? I'm not done. I will make sure that the name Dean Ambrose does not leave your mind for 1 second. Look at this piece of trash. He doesn't belong in a wrestling ring anymore." So Dean picks up Terry Funk one more time. He has him by the back of the head, and with absolutely no considerations for the near 70-year-old's safety, he throws Terry Funk head first over the top rope. Funk slams onto the arena floor below. Maybe to really sell the outrage from the fans, you can get a plant in the crowd who jumps the barrier and tries to attack Ambrose, but obviously security will stop him. Ambrose is public enemy number 1 in Texas. How will Mick Foley respond?
You should have Ambrose beat the guy up to the plant. That would be great, because then somebody's because they're in Texas, somebody's defending the honor and the name of Terry Funk, and then Ambrose beats that guy up too. And then that shows everybody that he's not messing around here, you know?
Dude, you just give him another idea based on top of that. So the fan gets in the ring, Ambrose attacks him and puts a fucking mandible claw on him.
Yeah.
That would make sense as well. That is now the lore. That happened.
Yeah,
Say that,
excellent.
that's quite good.
Let's pretend you wrote that.
Yeah, I came up with that all by myself.
Well, cut the other bit out where I suggested. What? Okay, do it again.
Yeah. No, good idea, mate. Good idea. So that's a good
I was
shout.
going to play it. I'm great idea, Bryce, but...
Yeah, just... Thanks for saying that. Yeah, perfect. Right. Next week, we once again get Mick Foley live via satellite. And of course, he addresses Dean Ambrose and what he did to Terry Funk last week in Amarillo. Once again, though, his response may be somewhat surprising, just like when Mick Foley gave his blessing for Ambrose to be hired by WWE. So Foley says that Terry Funk is his mentor and best friend. He's known him for decades and respects him hugely, so yeah, he wishes Ambrose didn't do what he did, but also, let's be serious, Terry Funk hasn't gone a day of his life without some kind of beating. Mick Foley addresses Ambrose and says, "For you got to beat up the legendary Terry Funk in an effort to get a rise out of me. But for Terry Funk, it was Monday. You're not getting to me, Dean. You will not get to me. Not with smashing my head through a car windscreen, not through blowing up my phone, not through assaulting my heroes. So stop now. Save your breath." The promo ends there, with Mick Foley making it extra clear that Ambrose will not get to him. Mick's skin is super tough. He's seen hundreds of guys like Ambrose come and go over the years. He will not budge. He is retired. But then, shit gets real. Next week, shit gets really, really real. Next week, Dean Ambrose is not in the arena. He's not in the arena because he's in Long Island, New York. Does that place ring any bells to you, Dylan?
Long Island, New York. Well, I would have to hazard because that is the hometown of hardcore legend Terry Funk, Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, that was taxes.
You're
wasn't
so
it?
close. You're
It was
so
Texas.
close.
Some kind of hardcore legend, isn't it? It's Dean Ambrose. Oh no, that's not right either. Something to do with hardcore guys, isn't it?
You're right. It's a home of hardcore legend Mick Foley. Thanks,
I knew it was somebody.
Dean Ambrose, he has a camera crew and seems to be on a large property in Long Island. And he opens the segment by addressing the camera. So he says, "You know, I still don't think Mick Foley understands what I'm saying here. I don't know why he thinks I'm telling lies when I say I'm going to hold him accountable or that I'm going to stop anytime soon. I told Foley that I will continue to hurt the ones he loves, and well, if Terry Funk ain't going to be the final straw, I guess I'll have to up the ante a bit.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the Foley family home in Long Island. Now, I'll quickly say, I swear I had this part written before your Cody Rhodes booking last week.
It's Triple H's going to be in this, like,
It's just
eating
Triple H
soup.
getting fed pudding by Stephanie. Yeah.
And they're like, why is Triple H here?
It has similarities to that part of your Cody booking, but it's not exactly the same by a stretch. But yeah, I found it funny last week when you're talking about that. I'm like, shit, that's an integral part of my story.
It's a bit that, like, you don't see on TV anymore, but we remember very fondly. We're like, that's a great way to get heat. So we're just like,
We love a good home invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, this isn't actually a home invasion, so you'll see how this plays out. So, anyway, Ambrose goes to knock on the door, but there's no answer. And he rings the doorbell, and he waits patiently, but nothing. So you can see Ambrose is trying to keep it a calm demeanour, but also you can see he's having a hard time keeping it all together and not just kicking down the door to Foley's home. As he continues to ring the doorbell, a car pulls into the driveway, which obviously attracts Ambrose's attention. Ambrose beckons the camera to follow him as he approaches the car. The camera crew do as they're told, even though surely even they can sense that something awful is about to go down. When Dean Ambrose approaches the car, 3 people exit. Mick Foley's wife, daughter, and son. No Mick. They all stare at Ambrose in abject fear, keeping their distance from the madman. They are all on one side of the car, whereas Ambrose stares back at them from the other side. Mick's wife asks Ambrose, what is he doing here? And Ambrose just replies, is the man of the house home, darling? Mick's wife, daughter and son grab shopping bags as quickly as they can. They've clearly just been to the supermarket. Ambrose asks, hey, you guys need a hand with those at all? And the family ignore him and frantically start to power walk towards the safety of their home, keeping their distance as far from Dean Ambrose as possible. But Ambrose, he blocks their path. They all look at him with fear in their eyes, wondering what this unpredictable maniac will do next. Ambrose addresses them with nothing but calm in his voice. He raises his hands cautiously as if he means no harm whatsoever and says, I'm not going to hurt you. I only have one request. Please tell Mick that I was here, won't you? And the family rush past him, they enter through the front door and they slam it shut. We hear the sound of multiple locks and bolts being turned, securing the door from anything else Dean Ambrose may be thinking about doing. Ambrose smiles at the camera. He speaks. Wow, those people were so rude. Manners cost nothing these days, you know? Mick, you should teach your family some common courtesy, because that was embarrassing. I did not feel welcomed at all. The segment ends there. Has Dean Ambrose finally done too much? I guess we'll have to find out next week. Hey Dylan, close your eyes.
No, I don't want to do it again.
Close your eyes, goddammit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, open them.
All right.
We're at Extreme Rules again! Oh my god, no!
Put it back. Why does this keep happening to me?
Always Extreme Rules 2012 as well.
I can
Every
never
time.
I can never go to sleep again.
Every dream. Extreme
It's
Rules.
always Extreme Rules all the time.
Okay, in all seriousness, we're on Raw next week, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
We're on Raw next week, so it turns out the answer is yes. Dean Ambrose has finally done too much. Dean Ambrose comes out to open the show and once again to cut a defamatory promo about Mick Foley and holding him responsible for ruining the lives of so many children. He gets about 2 minutes into his promo before the hardcore legend himself appears on the Titantron, once again via satellites. And Mick Foley is not his bright, cheery, friendly self. Oh no, absolutely not. He sits in a barely lit room as he tells Dean Ambrose exactly what he thinks of him. He tells Ambrose that he crossed a line last week. In fact, he didn't just cross the line, he crossed the line, turned around and pissed all over it. Ambrose made a big mistake last week. He involved Mick's family, the one thing that Mick advised him privately not to do. And now Foley has to make Ambrose regret it. Mick shouts at Ambrose, "You do not involve my family. You do not threaten my family. You do not approach my family's home. I'm even disappointed in WWE for allowing a goddamn camera crew to follow you to my home, but I'll address that with them another time. Ambrose, you don't know who you're screwing with right now. You are not screwing with Mick Foley, the professional wrestler. Quite frankly, you're screwing with a man who will do anything to protect his family and home, so I guess, Ambrose, you got your wish. I'm gonna come and kick your ass, you son of a bitch. I'm gonna make you wish you never came here."
I kind of wish. Sorry to interrupt, but whenever he was like, "You're not dealing with Mick Foley anymore," I thought you were gonna be like the old Triple H thing where he's like, "You're not dealing with Mick Foley anymore. You're dealing with Cactus Jack." And then I thought, wouldn't it be funny if he was like, "You're not dealing with Mick Foley anymore. You're dealing with Dude Love," and he just starts dancing.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ambrose is like, "What the fuck?
What the hell?
What do I do?" And Mick's
aggressively dancing at him.
He's just dancing all around him. He's like, "What? What? What do I do? How do I beat this guy?"
Exactly.
That's. For anybody wondering what next week's booking is gonna be,
that aggressive Dude Love.
It's gonna be me rebooking Dude Love as a guy he's a dancer, not a fighter, and he never fights.
Dancer, not a fighter.
He never fights anybody. He just dances and confuses anybody. Anyway, on with the show.
Anyway, Ambrose replies, "Oh, so you're gonna do it from your live satellite feed, Mick? Is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna reach through that Titantron and grab me by my neck?" And then entrance music plays through the PA system. It's not Mick Foley's familiar entrance music, but a musical arrangement that hasn't been heard since No Way Out 2000. Dean Ambrose smiles in utter joy as he sees who makes their way through the curtain. It's Cactus Jack.
Oh, shit. Fuck.
You fucking called it.
Yeah, how could he had to do it.
Oh, dude, it had to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely had to. It just made sense, right?
Exactly.
And like Cactus Jack, deathmatch wrestler against Dean Ambrose, deathmatch wrestler. It just fucking makes sense. Right? So, Cactus Jack runs down the ring, and oh boy, do Dean and Jack start brawling. They brawl all over the ring, ringside, throwing each other into the steps, suplexes on the ramp. Steel chairs are brought out, 2x4s are brought out, and it's only when they start brawling into the crowd that security are sent down to break them up. After all, these men are so filled with bitter hate that they really can't be trusted to ensure fan safety. Something's got to give, so you get 10 security guards on Cactus Jack and 10 on Dean Ambrose. The men are shouting threats at each other despite being pulled further and further apart. Ambrose spits at Cactus. Cactus manages to get close enough to throw one more slap to Ambrose's face, and then they are finally fully separated. The segment ends there, but oh lord, Dean Ambrose has awoken the kraken that is Cactus Jack. He done fucked up. So next week, Cactus Jack appears in front of the Monday Night Raw crowd. He talks about how good it was to finally get a piece of Dean Ambrose last week, and well, he wants more. Cactus Jack says he knows Dean doesn't want a match, he just wants to hold him accountable, but Cactus asserts that the only way Dean can get his hands on him now is in a match. Because Cactus wants to do this on his own terms. He doesn't want Ambrose showing up at his house. He doesn't want Ambrose blindsiding him in the parking lot. He wants Ambrose face to face in the middle of the ring. It's his only terms. Other than that, he won't allow anything must go, so to speak. So Ambrose comes out and says, whatever, Mick. I'll do the match. I've softened to the idea of kicking your ass and holding you accountable in front of the whole world. In fact, I want the biggest audience possible, so why don't we just do this at SummerSlam? No holds barred, no DQ, no nothing. Just Dean Ambrose putting down the so-called legend Mick Foley or Cactus Jack or whatever stupid moniker you want to go under. And Cactus Jack smiles in the ring and immediately agrees. But wait, there's more. Suddenly, to the delight of Dylan, the entrance music of acting general manager Triple H hits the PA, and out comes the game to set the score here.
But he's got like the soup coming out of his mouth, and Stephanie's like,
Steph's pushing him in a wheelchair.
Yeah, Stephanie's like dabbing his chin with a napkin.
Oh, Triple H.
It was a great joke.
It is a great joke. It's terrible, but it's great. Yeah. I don't think Triple H was like the general manager around this time, but he was definitely setting matches as part of the authority and stuff. So I know for damn sure it wasn't the fucking anonymous Raw general manager. Good lord.
What if it was Todd Grisham?
Well, it's general manager Todd Grisham. Yeah.
Why didn't they ever do that?
The most unauthoritative authority figure ever.
I would listen to him.
He's just a little dude in glasses. That's what he is.
Just like me. I can
just
see
like you. You're a little dude in glasses.
I see a lot of myself in Todd Grisham.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
He's my hero.
You're the second coming of Todd Grisham. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
I don't know what that means, but hey ho. Triple H, he has a bomb to drop. Dean Ambrose and Cactus Jack may want to fight each other, but there's no easy way to say this. Mick Foley is not medically cleared to compete at WWE SummerSlam. Barry.
There we go.
Too many injuries over the years, and at the age of 47, Foley is only becoming more fragile, so Triple H cannot in good faith sanction this match to go ahead. On top of that, he knows how vicious this feud has been, and how much these two men want to tear each other limb for limb, so once again, he cannot in good faith sanction this match. And also, he himself has history with Cactus Jack and knows exactly the kind of levels he will sink to in order to eradicate Dean Ambrose, so there's a lot of red flags here, which can only mean one thing. Cactus Jack and Dean Ambrose can have their match at SummerSlam, but it will be unsanctioned.
Yes.
WWE will take no ownership of what happens in that match, and Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose will have to sign paperwork to officialise that. Foley and Ambrose agree immediately. Foley wanted a match with Ambrose, and this sort of is. And Ambrose didn't really want a match with Foley, but which is fine, because it also sort of isn't. So, hey, we're all set. The Ultimate Showdown is now officially unofficial. It's Dean Ambrose, Cactus Jack at SummerSlam Barrie. So we get to SummerSlam Barrie, and hey, going back to what was planned in real life, this feud was set to culminate at SummerSlam. In Moxley's book, he mentions that it was meant to end in a big cage/gimmick match. Now, I personally don't think a cage match would fit this story. These guys want to kill each other. They need the whole arena. So hopefully an unsanctioned match is kind of fairly faithful to the original idea. But
what if the cage was on fire? A fire cage.
Mm-hmm.
And
the good old Inferno cage. Yeah,
fire cage. Yeah, and then if they didn't win in 15 minutes, the ring explodes. But it.
Oh right.
But
it
really explodes. Like not just like some sparklers.
Not fucking Tony Khan sprinklers. Yeah, sparklers. And the cage is also electrified, right?
Yes.
So it's an electrified, exploding Inferno
fire cage match. Yes.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So
yes.
Cool. All right.
With thumbtacks.
Right.
It's Mick Foley. He's always got the thumbtacks.
Book it like Russo was a few episodes ago, right?
Why did we not put this in Book It Like Russo?
I'm pretty sure I did at one point. I remember remember Shark Boy appearing, like just the ludicrously ridiculous cage match. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
something,
it was
like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Book It Like Russo 2, I think. I don't know. Anyway.
Everybody else go back and listen to Book It Like Russo and then tell us what it is.
Exactly. Listen to all of them and let us know which one it was. I think it was 2, but hey ho. Where was I? So yeah, SummerSlam. Ambrose versus Cactus. Unsanctioned. Now, obviously, this match would be a fucking war. I'm talking tables, I'm talking barbed wire, I'm talking thumbtacks, glass. The dude's getting thrown through crowd barriers, making holes in the stage, you name it. Electrified, barbed wire, fucking fire cages. It'll be a war. But perhaps surprisingly, in the final twist for this feud, I guess, I'd have Cactus Jack win.
Ooh.
And I'd have him go over Ambrose. Now, Cactus would get a little bit of help from an interfering Terry Funk, who appears so that he can get his own back in Ambrose. So he'll power drive Ambrose, which will lead into a Cactus Jack double arm DDT finish. Cactus Jack is victorious in the unsanctioned match. Dean Ambrose has been defeated. And there's a couple of reasons for Dean Ambrose, the up-and-coming star, not getting the win here. So first off, this way, Dean Ambrose gets a rub from basically the two biggest hardcore legends in wrestling, if you don't count Steve Blackman.
Stevie Richards.
And Stevie Richards, of course, former hardcore champion Stevie Richards.
The two Steves.
The two Steves, yeah.
Oh, I gotta write that down. I gotta remember that.
The next tag team. But on top of that, it's what I feel is best for Ambrose's character at this stage. I mean, let's be honest, this loss will not humble him at all. He'll still be angry. He'll be angrier, which will drive him to take out his anger on someone else in WWE, continuing to wrestle for the company henceforth. So I'd have Ambrose win his next feud, undoubtedly, but this one goes to Foley. He's given Ambrose plenty in this feud after all, and hey, this would probably be Mick Foley's last match. He never wrestled again after this point in 2012, so he gets to end his career with one big bang and not have his last run being like 2010 TNA. But yeah, there we go. That's the booking.
Okay, so first of all, I like Mick Foley. So Bryce knows this. So I think that I assume that you know that I also like Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley.
You're a big fan, yeah.
Yes,
definitely, yeah.
So this is like the total opposite of you booking the Miz as a zombie.
Yeah. It's actually two of the guys you like. Yeah.
This is two of the guys that I rate very, very highly, and no offense to the Miz rebooking, but I like this a lot more.
The Miz booking had zombies.
But this one has no Miz, so...
And no zombies.
It's it. And Dean Ambrose and Mick Foley. So
exactly. We're
getting into good territory right off the bat. The barbed wire bat, that is. Now,
hey.
Now when you started off... there's always jokes on this show. You get one per show.
One joke. It's never usually a good one.
This one was good.
Yeah, that was alright.
And the Triple H one from last week, that was good.
Yeah, okay.
So I really liked the way you started it off, where you brought in a little angle that was in Ambrose's book. Yes. About Ambrose attacking Mick Foley. And you kind of elaborated more on it yourself, but Ambrose attacks Mick Foley and attacks him and hits him against the car. Smashes him into the windscreen. I'm like, that's a great visual. Obviously, like, you can see why they didn't do it, because, I think that would have looked cool as heck, but also, like, 2012, like you said, Mick Foley getting on a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best idea. However, for fantasy booking, perfect, right?
That's it. You can take leverage like that, yeah. Exactly.
Great way to start the show off, because now you're like, whatever comes after this is going to be, equal or greater than that,
Yeah, sets the bar.
Exactly, that's the phrase I was looking for.
The barbed bar.
Yeah, that's two. If you count that one, I don't know if you will count that one.
Nah.
We'll let the fans decide. I like how you're making parallels between Mick Foley and Dean Ambrose, and and this is what the feud was going to be about, I imagine. But you can see Mick Foley being like, "Oh, I'm just nice old Mick Foley," and Dean Ambrose is like, "No. You're the reason I'm like this. You're the reason all these other people are like this. You're the reason the kids went to hospital. You need to... I'm like this because of you. And other people like me. All the other deathmatch wrestlers were all because of Mick Foley, Trying to put the blame on him, which is an interesting angle, Not necessarily true, but it has enough truth to it where you could buy into it. I like how really early on you laid out that Mick Foley wasn't going to come out of retirement because you know that means Ambrose is going to have to go out of his way.
Yeah.
Once you lay that in straight off the bat, Ambrose is like, all right, he's like clicking his fingers. He's like, watch this,
Poke the bear. Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find different ways. And then you did that. You escalated it. You got Terry Funk in there and then his family. And then and you also laid in, the truth about Mick Foley backstage, talking to Dean Ambrose about don't mention my family. You worked that into the storyline. We already, now from just the basic catch-up, we have laid the groundwork that Mick Foley doesn't like bringing his family into this. So you're like, well, that's the best place to do it. That's exactly what you do. I really like the Terry Funk thing because that's a smart move. It's got history. It makes sense. And let me tell you, Bryce, getting the plant and having Dean Ambrose beat up the plant, it's
a really good idea that I came up with. Right?
I would never have thought of that. That's a really no.
I'm really good. I'm very good. Yeah,
you're too good. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, I really like that the family thing. Even though Ambrose didn't actually do anything to his family.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like you've got that creepy vibe there, where like Ambrose has come to your house, he's seen your family. He's up to something, and
it's almost like it's almost like the first sequences of what's it called? Cape Fear, is it with Nicholson, and he's like stalking the family a little bit, but he's like in plain sight.
Is it De Niro?
Oh fuck, De Niro, yeah.
Is it De Niro? I think it's De Niro.
No, it's Nicholson, isn't it?
Oh, I gotta look that up. Pause the show.
2 hours later.
De Niro.
It's De Niro. It's De Niro. Fair play.
Yeah.
I thought it was Nicholson. Fair
I've
enough. I've not seen that film in years.
You were thinking of the Batman.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah,
that's basically. But
my point remains the same.
Yeah, essentially, yes. Like it's creepy that he's there, and him not doing anything to the family is creepier.
Yeah,
because you're like, well, what is he gonna do? You know what I mean? Like you've laid that kind of groundwork there. That
he's
element.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it kind of builds up, and you can see why these guys would want to fight, and I guess I called it in the show, but like the Cactus Jack bit, you had to do it. It made sense, right? That's just the way that character has been established over the years. Is that Cactus Jack is the worst side of Foley.
Yeah.
Like that's whenever Cactus Jack comes out, shit's going down. So like that's
unless it's Dude Love aggressively dancing down
doing
the ramp.
The dancing, yeah. And he's great at dancing.
He's so good. Yeah.
He's one of the best. But like that makes sense. I like that. I also whenever you said you would have Mick Foley go over, I like many of the other listeners, I imagine were like, what? But then you said something that I'm like, all right, I agree. You've changed my mind, which is not the bit about Mick Foley. I mean, I guess he does deserve a win. That's nice for him to go out on top. But like, the wrestling business, that's not always the way it works.
Yeah.
But the bit where you said having Dean Ambrose lose would make him angrier because he knows that he's never going to be able to like avenge that loss. He'll never get that loss. He'll never be able to get another win over Mick Foley to even the odds. So now you've got a really pissed off Dean Ambrose, which as we know now from having seen Jon Moxley, a very pissed Dean Ambrose is a very scary thing. So
absolutely.
I'm like, all right, that sentence like seals the deal. That's a very key sentence. And if you establish that, this much more angry and violent Dean Ambrose after the Mick Foley feud, then you've got a winner on your hands,
That's it. He's going to take it out on someone else, and whoever that next victim's going to be is fucking screwed. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So like that shit makes sense.
Pringle-sized chip in his shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the biggest chip?
It's quite a big crisp.
It's pretty big.
Pringles.
Yeah. I was trying to think.
Are Doritos bigger than?
I would say Pringles.
Have you tried those fucking like Whatsits, which are like supersized Whatsits?
Yeah.
They're fucking great.
They're so good. But I had the spicy ones, like the hot.
Yeah, the hot and spicy ones. There's prawn cocktail ones as well.
They're
so nice.
good. They come in a big ass fucking bag.
Yeah.
Anyway,
listeners, let us know. Have you tried the big Whatsits?
Guys, let us know. What's the biggest crisp?
What's the biggest crisp?
In your opinion, what's the biggest crisp? I would say Pringle is probably bigger than the Dorito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you got a big Dorito, that's the thing. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Let us know, listeners. Let us know.
Yes. Anyway, so it was a very good rebooking.
Thanks.
No problem.
No, like I said, it's one I've been planning for a very long time, and reading that book kicked it all into life for me. So if you want to read that book, it's called Mox. It's available in all good bookstores, and it's a bloody good read. But hey, we're not done yet. We've got something else to do here. So how about we move on from the rebooking
and we live read Jon Moxley's book right here on Mega Kayfabe. That's a great idea, Bryce.
Perfect. Let's do it. Let's go and play Kayfabe Tombola.
What? That's not what I said.
Alright, Kayfabers, it's that special time of the week where we play a little game called Kayfabe Tombola. If this is your first Making Kayfabe episode, welcome. Thanks for listening. It's great that you're here. Let me explain the rules of the Kayfabe Tombola minigame to you. We have here 4 random wrestlers numbered 1 to 4. We have 4 random scenarios lettered A to D. These are submitted by one of our fine listeners every week. Dylan here, since he hasn't hosted the episode this week, will choose one random number letter combination, so like a 1A or a 3C, and then he'll have 60 seconds ish to improvise the greatest storyline of all time with the subject and scenario he is given. It's always good fun, and mate, I've got a belter for you this week. The only context you need is that it was submitted by Tyler Mortimer, our good friend.
Dear.
So you know it's going to be a good one.
Oh, no.
Tyler, of course, of Book It Like Russo fame and
incredible artwork.
Episode artwork fame, yeah, that's what I meant to say. And also the worst heavy beer champion of all time. He is at dyslexic_tweets on Twitter. We went to the Rev Pro show last weekend. Had a good time.
Was it good?
Yeah, had a great time. Yeah.
Was Stevie Richards there?
He was not. No. It's actually the main event was meant to be Will Ospreay versus Minoru Suzuki, right? And Will Ospreay had to pull out, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be fucking great if Steve Richards just came in here right now and like beat Minoru Suzuki? But never happened.
I saw that because I knew you guys were going to the show, and then I saw online that Ospreay was sick. I'm like, oh, I wonder. Is he going to be at the show that Bryce is going to?
Yeah.
You know? Who replaced him?
It was Michael Oku, one of the kind of like Rev Pro guys, but he Oku wrestled in the first match of the show, and he says like I'm going to take on Minoru Suzuki in the main event, so he wrestled twice on the same show, but he's very, very good. He's not a name I know much about, but very, very impressed by him, Michael Oku, so look him up.
That's good work being on the opener and the main event
against Suzuki. You know,
it's good shit, man.
But very, very good time. Met a lot of nice people, including the lovely Mona, who submitted a tombola for next week, so that'll be fun. But as a total aside, just while we're on the topic, you need to check out Aussie Open versus Velocities from that show. Fucking insane match, like match of the year, like one of the best matches I've ever seen. Just absolutely unbelievable. But
oh, really? Yeah. Better than Dana Brooke versus Tamina Snuka?
Well, not quite.
I don't know if that happened, but I can only imagine that did happen.
It does not quite reach the dizzying heights of Dana Brooke versus Tamina Snuka, but it's close, you know?
Well, what could possibly be that good?
Exactly. So, anyway, stop stalling, Dylan, god damn it. What's your number letter combination?
Can I stall for just a little bit longer?
You don't even heard what it is yet.
I know, but I love stalling.
The stalling comes after when you try to think of an idea.
You know me, I love doing it to begin with.
That's it.
I just love.
Alright, what you got?
I love fucking stuff up. I want to go for 4A.
4A.
Because I feel like that's a combination we never go for.
Yeah, we've not got a name for that. We've got
we have a bunch of other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, the Gorillas
one, Dudley Boys,
the old Dudley Boys one,
mm-hmm.
the old Shakespeare, the to be or not to be.
Yep,
so,
we got a couple, but nobody ever goes for 4A. So I'm like, I'm going to shake things up.
All right, 4A is a good choice. So do you want to know who you could have got?
Yes,
you could have got John Cena's invisible half brother, Invisible Stan.
Is that canon that they're brothers?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, they both have powers of invisibility, so I guess.
Well, little Jimmy, is he a brother? Because he's invisible too.
Who's little Jimmy?
Oh, you probably haven't seen him. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
You didn't get Invisible Stan. You didn't get Maki Ito.
Okay.
Tyler simps for Maki Ito so
Yeah.
hard. I'm not surprised she's in this one. You could have got, funny we just spoke about him, but Will Ospreay.
Okay.
You didn't get Will Ospreay.
All right.
You got, my friend, for this Kayfabe Tombola, you got somebody we've already booked before. You got Warhorse.
Okay.
Good old Warhorse.
Warhorse. Oh, I hope he ignores all the artwork on Twitter again.
I hope he never acknowledges us. Yeah,
That's gonna be the booking.
So hard to put a good episode about him. Yeah, thanks for putting hours. We're not bitter. But do you want to know what Warhorse is doing?
Yes.
I'll tell you what he's not doing.
Okay.
Warhorse is not creating a tag team with Naked Midian, except every time they win, he gets an item of gear from his opponent.
Oh, he puts it on?
Yeah, so like Naked Midian, whenever they beat somebody, Naked Midian takes like an elbow pad and then
Okay.
like, I don't know, like but you didn't get that.
I like how Naked Midian goes for elbow pad first and not like
It is not fucking his cock and balls hanging like fully
No,
out.
elbow pad.
You didn't get that. You could have got Warhorse. Start streaking across the ring during right to censor matches.
Naked Midian and then also streaking.
He's very into nudity today.
Tyler.
Yeah. What's he like?
If I'd have got Maki Ito with some of these weird naked ones, like, come on, dude, what are you thinking? That's we're not rebooking like fever dreams for you here, man. That's
Gets better. You could have got Warhorse brings back a PC version. He puts in brackets here, sex positive, not slut shaming, version of the Ho Train.
well, if Maki Ito had brought back the Ho Train, I'm like, come on, dude. Now
PC version as well, yeah.
That's your fever dream.
Yeah,
That's Tyler. That's Tyler's ultimate
his
fan
fantasy,
fiction.
yeah.
That's his fan fiction. Part 7 of the Maki Ito fan fiction.
He's very upset he didn't pick that one. Yeah,
I would have fucked it up. I would have made it not sexy at all.
that was unsexy thing.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to know what you got?
Yeah. What naked guy have I got in this one?
You've got Warhorse is naked. No, he's not. Warhorse joins a faction made entirely out of competitive eaters and challenges the whole roster to a hot dog eating contest or Sausage Festomania Slam.
Challenges the whole roster.
The whole roster to a hot dog eating contest, aka Sausage Festomania Slam.
Okay, I'm just writing this down.
So I'll say that again for the listeners at home. So the listeners at home, there's everyone's at fucking home.
What if they listen to it at the gym or while they're running or in
you
space?
say that when there's a fucking studio audience, though, right? That's why you say it. But Warhorse joins a faction made entirely out of competitive eaters and challenges a whole roster to a hot dog eating contest.
And what's the name of it?
Sausage Festomania Slam.
Sausage Festomania Slamboree.
Rolls off the tongue. Slamboree. Hey.
I don't. How could he forget?
How could he forget? No brie in the end.
No.
It's long enough.
I'd like a hot dog, please. Hold the brie.
Yeah. Brie's an ingredient as well, right?
No brie for me, please. I'm
Brie's cheese. Yeah. All right, stop stalling. God damn it.
All right, let's just.
Are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, Dylan, you've got 60 seconds-ish to rebook Warhorse joining a faction made entirely out of competitive eaters and challenging the whole roster to a hot dog eating contest. I'm going to count you down in 3, 2, 1. Let's get hot dogging.
So, I didn't expect that. That's not fair. So, Warhorse.
55 seconds left.
Son of a. Start it again. You made me laugh.
50 seconds left.
Oh, come on. So Warhorse joins this faction with all the competitive eaters, such as Viscera, who loves hot dogs, and Naked Midian, who you can see why he loves hot dogs. and Maki Ito, because you got to put her in there somewhere, right? And so they're all like, we love hot dogs. And Warhorse is like, all right, guys, we got to take this to the next level. We can't just go around rest the matches. We got to challenge everybody in this goddamn locker room to a hot dog eating contest. It's the only way for us to make ourselves look like the top dogs in the roster. And so he comes out to the ring and he says, hey, guys, because that's how he talks. He's like, hey, guys, I'm Warhorse. And here's the thing. We're going to challenge everybody to a hot dog eating contest right here in wherever time we're in. And the whole crowd pops. They're like, yeah, we love hot dogs. And so they have the four guys, Nick Midian, Viscera, Makito, and Warhorse against the rest of the roster, all the other guys. And it's Sausage Festomania, Slamboree. So they're all eating like hot dogs. And then Warhorse, he puts like 15 hot dogs in his mouth at once. And he's declared the winner. And so Warhorse's faction wins. They're the top hot dogs. That's it.
They're the top hot dogs.
That's the one.
Like top dogs, yeah.
Yep.
That's it, yeah. That's very good. That's very, very good. You've you took that idea and ran with it, like completely, yeah.
What am I fucking supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
Like they challenge him to hot dog eating contest.
It's very specific.
And then what?
Yeah.
I challenge you. Okay.
I especially like how Warhorse speaks. Hey guys,
Hey,
I'm
what's
Warhorse. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
I'm Warhorse.
I'm Warhorse. Welcome to my YouTube show. So please don't tease me.
Very good. Thanks to Tyler for submitting that. Again, go and follow him at dyslexic_tweets on Twitter. If you go back and find his artwork he did for the Cody Rhodes episode last week, he's wanting that retweeted so the Cody Rhodes can actually see it. So go onto his profile, retweet that tweet, get it in front of Cody Rhodes so we can see that fucking awesome artwork. But yeah, go and follow him on Twitter and let's wrap up this show.
Also, draw him like fan art of Makito and send it to him.
Yes, yeah. I think Tyler's done enough drawing for us, so it's only fair that we get our fans.
We got to
to
get everybody
him.
else to draw pictures of Makito. Tasteful pictures, nice.
Tasteful, no hoe trains.
Don't be weird, but be
no
nice
nudity.
about it.
Exactly. So if you guys can do that.
If you guys are doing that, draw some pictures of Viscera for Bryce.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. That'd be great. And then draw some pictures of the Miz for Dylan.
No. You didn't say Stevie Richards' name correctly. You said something else. So you did.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Just forget.
Stevie Misters. Okay.
Don't. No. Why would you associate those two wrestlers? They're not even close to being similar.
Let's wrap up the show. Bah. Hey, that was Making Kayfabe, Season 6, Episode 3, when Foley met Ambrose. Hope you enjoyed it, Kayfabers. If you did enjoy the show, tweet about it, man. Like, Instagram it, send us a message, leave a 5-star review, or a thumbs up, or subscribe, or whatever. Talk to us, we're very lonely. If you didn't enjoy the show, then hey, thanks for listening anyway, but don't feel like you have to leave a review or anything, it's okay. Kayfabers, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Making Kayfabe. Want to send in a Kayfabe Tombola or suggest an upcoming booking? You can DM us there or email makingkayfabe@gmail.com. We do have a Patreon page where you can support us and get access to exclusive fantasy bookings for as little as £5 per month. Right now, there are 17 exclusive bookings that you haven't heard yet. I believe our Jon Moxley rebooking is going to land over the weekend. So you can find us there at patreon.com/making kayfabe. 17 bookings, £5. It's a fucking bargain. Patreon.com/making kayfabe. Dylan is back with episode 4 of season 6 next week. My friend, do you have any clues for our listeners as to what this may entail?
I think this person has been requested before.
They have.
People have asked for this person before. It's been a popular topic, and this person actually has been well talked about, has trended on Twitter before. It's very popular and
successful.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I was because they've trended on Twitter. They're kind of recent. Let's put it that way. They're not. I'm not rebooking Steve Austin right here. I'm talking about somebody a little bit more recent, a little bit more current. So I wonder if that's enough clues.
I think that's a good few clues. We can see so every week we put on a Twitter page and the chance for you guys to guess what the next episode is. So keep an eye on Making Kayfabe on Twitter and you can guess what Dylan's going to be booking next week. But hey, we're done. We love you all. Thanks for listening. Your support is paramount to the success of this show. We'll be back next week for some more fun, epic Making Kayfabe fantasy booking. But until then, folks, take care, stay safe, and always be kayfabing. Goodbye.
Goodbye.